I appreciate everybody jumping on today. The goal today is really to kind of go over the BIM 360 platform, where it currently is. I can give a little bit of information as to kind of the direction it's going. That's going to be kind of limited, but I keep up with a lot of the forums. We stay in touch with some of the developers, and there's a lot of really good things and conversations that are happening around the platform, and it's really starting to shape up. So for everyone that's kind of new to the BIM 360 platform, it's really this is going to be kind of this is where we're at today. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we've come from. Just for a timeline, BIM 360 Docs has been the focus for the past year and a half. BIM 360 Docs is going to be the platform for which all other modules and functions are built off of. And that's going to really allow us to standardize our document management process and leverage those documents from one library versus having multiple places that these things exist. Around the AU timeframe, so November of last year, Autodesk announced a couple of preview modules. They were released. They've been continuing to accelerate on development of those. So I'm going to touch on a lot of those preview modules, let you know where they are, the current state of those. So for those of you who are current BIM 360 Classic field users, you'll be, if you're looking to kind of go over, hopefully you'll understand generally if now's a good time or whether you'd like to wait for some additional functionality to come out. And for those of you who are just looking at BIM 360 as a platform which you can jump on today, you'll understand exactly where it's at. So we're just going to jump right into the software here. Go ahead and share my screen, and we'll go into the software itself and see how it works, and you should get an idea generally the navigation and ease of use. That is one thing that I can say about this software as they've been redeveloping it. The ease of use on this one, in my opinion, is a lot better. It makes it they've made it much more intuitive from that perspective. So what we're looking at here is we're in the BIM 360 platform. So you can see it's BIM 360. And then within this platform, we have different modules and functions of which we can use. The primary one being document management, or what a lot of people know of as BIM 360 Docs. So if we click on this button here at the top left, we can see all the different modules that we have available. So you'll see we've got Project Home. This was just released last week and is going to be an integral part of the system. And I'll show you why. We'll do a little bit of a demo of that later. We've got something called Insights. Insights is going to be sort of our analytics for all of our projects and our project specifics. We've also got Document Management, which is going to be BIM 360 Docs, what most people are familiar with. This is going to allow us to upload drawings, manage those drawings, manage our models here, and manage the drawings within those models. I'll show some of the functionalities within this. We've got project management, which is going to be RFIs and submittals. So for those of you who have been using Docs, just as an update, there used to be an RFIs tab within Docs, which allowed us to create and manage RFIs. They have moved that to project management. If you're a current user of Docs, however, you should continue to see that RFIs within your system. We've got model coordination, which is essentially BIM 360 Glue. It's going to be kind of the next gen version of that, which is allow us to manage exactly that, model coordination, clash detection, allow us to make actionable items for designers and teams to work on and resolve those clashes. And then our field management portion, which is going to include our quality control safety, so our checklist, our daily updates. So, you know, what's the weather on the job? How many people were out working today? Generally, what did we complete? A description of that. And also our issue management. And that's going to be ultimately a replacement for BIM 360 Field Classic at some point. So a lot of good things are happening on some of these programs. For those of you who are actively involved, you probably understand that, but the developers with Autodesk are doing a really good job of taking feedback for these items that they've placed in preview. And I haven't talked about this, but just so you know, the preview is essentially saying that, hey, we've got functionality in here that can be used today. It's stable, but we're looking for the industry to pick this information or to pick these products up, to start using them and to submit feedback to us. So I'm going to explain to you kind of how you could do that at the end and how we can take these previews and really create a feedback loop for the developers and hopefully submit some of your ideas and get them implemented in the software. So let's start out, since the backbone of all of the BIM 360 module, in my opinion, is really document management. We're going to start out there and we'll start to talk about some of the functions that it has. And I'll take you through just kind of a brief demo of it and show you some of the things that that you could expect to see there today. So let's go ahead and go to document management. You can see we're going to refresh the screen. This is the web-based version. There's also an app. One of the great things about the new BIM 360 platform is that we have apps available on iOS and Android devices. So that's both phone and tablet. So it really extends the functionality to a lot broader audience. And that's been a problem in the past with the classic field, is that we've only had an iOS-based iPad app, actually. They did release there towards the end an iPhone Field Lite app. So if you're not familiar with that and you are using the classic version, you may want to check that out. But with the new BIM 360 platform, we're able to access via iOS or Android, tablet, and phone, which is going to be, again, a huge improvement and something that was much requested. You can see here within the document management library, it's very similar to what you're familiar with, as we can create folders to place our plans in. We can place models here. So I think one of the advantages to Docs is that not only can we integrate and work with a 2D set very effectively, we can also leverage and work with the 3D model just as effectively, even for those who aren't as comfortable with that aspect. And I'll show you that. My background, I focus primarily on field technologies and collecting information in the field, and less on the model aspect. I can get into Revit, but I'm not necessarily 100% comfortable with working in it. But I'll show you today that it really takes little knowledge when you're working on the BIM 360 platform to kind of start leveraging those models. But let's start with kind of a 2D set. So this is typically what you'll see. So we've got our CD set here, and we've just posted the record drawings here for the CD set. And you'll notice a couple of things here is we've got a individual file that we've uploaded. So I've uploaded one multi-page PDF, and that multi-page PDF has been split into single individual PDFs. And within those PDFs, we actually have the automated process that's provided for us actually will hyperlink these documents together and make it really easy for us to navigate through. So you can see these hyperlinks as part of the upload process. It'll prompt us to walk through, define our title block here on the left-hand side, and that's where it's grabbing the name, the sheet name, and the sheet number and the sheet name. And then it's going to go through and it's going to search this document for any cut sections, and then go ahead and automatically hyperlink to those. So this makes it easier to navigate via the web, but it makes it even more efficient to navigate from the iPad. So when you're talking about getting field staff to really take this up and adopt it, it's got to be easy for them to use. And hyperlinking a drawing set is probably the #1 way, in my opinion, to make it easier for them to use out in the field. So Again, Docs allows us to kind of automate that process and takes that burden off of us and make sure that we get good, consistent results. Some of the updates that have come out this year with the hyperlinking process are things like we can now collect information on vertical text. So if our title block goes vertical like this, we can actually capture that information with no problems. And they are matching off of sheet name only. So the algorithm used to match off of both the sheet name and the sheet number. So those two had to match in order for it to version properly. Now what they've done is they've taken the sheet name out and they say, we're only going to match off a sheet number. So the sheet number is the same. That's how we're going to match these up and version them, which is actually a really good thing and produces, in my opinion, better results more consistently. So having said that, you can see we can easily navigate through this drawing just using the hyperlinks provided. As we go deeper into our tree here, you can see that it's keeping track of all of the documents that we've been to, so we can navigate directly to those, or we can navigate back to our home screen. We also have the ability within Docs, as we're reviewing these, we can create issues and markups. So if you see down here at the bottom, we can add a new markup. We can choose rectangle, cloud, any one of these items here, and we can mark this up. And then here on the side, by default, these are set as private markups. So this means that as a user, I'm going to be the only person that sees those markups. But if I have the correct permissions, I can actually go here and publish this markup to where everyone else will see it. So again, it allows the user level to maintain their own set of documents with their own markups, but it also allows us to push that information out to the team if we need to. So we can create that markup, just simply hit done. We've got the markup created, and you'll see as we expand these panels over here, we have the ability to go over here and toggle this from private or published. We can also delete or edit this markup if we need to. And then finally, we can add an attachment to this markup. So if we wanted to, some people, one of the ways that the document managers a lot of times will manage the record set is by adding an Rfi annotation as a markup and then hyperlinking to the answer to that markup or to that Rfi. And here we can kind of do the same thing. We can add an attachment from any one of our documents, and we'll just add this submittal here. Hit open, and you can see that now this is available on my record set. So I could publish this and everybody would be able to see it. And again, we're making it very easy for the field guys from their iPads to access this information, which just makes adoption that much easier from a field perspective. So just moving down the list here, we can also create issues on any one of our drawings. You'll notice there's two icons here. There's one for issues and then there's one for field issues. What I think we're going to see in the future, and I can't promise this, but I think we'll see these two issues kind of merge together into one. Right now, in order for you to be able to see field issues, you'd have to have the project management and the field management service turned on in order to see this, but we can create a field issue or a docs issue. So in this case, we're going to create an issue. It's going to, again, these prompters are really helpful. So click a location, place the issue pin. So we can place that issue there, and we could say shower pan detail, please provide. And we can just complete this. One of the things that I really like about Docs, and I think is going to be very effective, and it's one of the things that we've had numerous requests for, and it really will just improve our workflow in general, is that we can assign to a user, a role, or a company. So in the past, when we were talking about BIM 360 Field Classic, we only had the ability to assign to a company. And a lot of times we would have MEP firms that would do both mechanical, electrical, and plumbing all as one firm. And each one of those individual trades would have their own foreman on site who would be responsible for resolving those issues. And in the past, it was difficult because we had to only assign it to a particular subcontractor. We couldn't assign it to a person. In this case, we can assign it to a person, which is really effective in getting the item resolved and making sure that they understand what they need to do. We could type in a location here, so we could just say janitor, 2005, and we could choose a date associated with this, a due date for this, and we could just create this issue. So this issue has been generated. We've captured it. We've captured the location because we placed a pin here, and the information is now available. Some of the new features that have come out this year are the ability to sort and filter these, and also to export this. So we can export this directly from this sheet, and it'll export out all issues associated with this sheet. I will warn you, this export is a CSV format, so you're just going to get an Excel spreadsheet list of all of these issues and their descriptions. But we're going to see more to come on that with more robust reporting for each one of these issues. If we go to field issues is similar but a little different. But I just want to note that we can create these from any one of the plans. If we're reviewing those, we can create them from here. We can also create them from within the field management module. We'll go over that a little bit more. And then we also had the ability to create an RFI from any one of the plans that were here. So if we hit create RFI, again, we're going to get the prompter. This is going to be very similar to the issue workflow, and then we're just going to follow the questions. So please clarify. We'll just say, please clarify ADA height. We can put in a suggested answer, and then we can assign this to an individual. And this is based off of our RFI workflow. I'll kind of demonstrate that a little bit later. We could choose a date, enter a location, and then we can select members for co-review. And all these little eye icons will tell you exactly what who's responsible to it, but they can. A co-reviewer can essentially add comments to the review process. So we can just add somebody in here, and we can put in a distribution list, which just means that they're going to be notified when this RFI is completed, so that they'll be made aware of it, that it's done. So again, these workflows have actually been developing really over the course of 2018. So it's important to note that this has transformed a little bit, and we'll see more refinement in this workflow as time goes on. So it's getting better. And again, we can drag and drop files or browse for those, but we can essentially create this RFI. And if we go into this RFI, you'll see that the panel opens, and we can see a lot of the activity associated with it. And I can add a comment. So we'll just say this is a new comment regarding height. And so we could track it and ultimately have a thread. So hopefully, as users become more comfortable with this is going to replace a bunch of emails, keep it all in one spot, keep this thread available for anyone to see, and then we'll be able to close this out once it's been responded to. So again, just a good workflow, pretty intuitive and easy and straightforward. You can see that the RFI is indicated by a square indicator versus a circle indicator. So let me jump back into some of the other things here. We've got the history, so we can see the versions. I'm going to move a little faster now because I want to show a couple more things that we can do here within Docs. Under this combined set, I just want to point out that it's keeping track of versions, and again, it's going to match it based off of the number. But you can see I have version 1 and 2. This one's got 2 versions associated with it. If I go down here, a lot of people miss this, but I can actually click on the version itself and go down here and utilize what they call compare versions. It's going to ask me what 2 versions I want to compare. Because I only have 2 here, it's automatically selecting those. I'll hit compare, and this probably was not a good page to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. If I go to this slider here, this is where I can actually utilize this tool to see the changes. So in this case, it looks like a lot of these highlights and markups were added after the fact, so you can sort of see what's going on there. And this is noted by version 2 and version 1. And this allows us to kind of detect some of those changes as they come. And this is good for a 2D workflow. But what I really think is interesting and adds a lot of value to this is the ability to utilize the model to start to analyze how our model has changed and how that's going to affect things. So you can see here I've uploaded a Revit file. So again, this is all I did was upload the Revit file. It automatically split out all the sheets for me and created 2D versions of those sheets. So if I click on this one, you'll see that this is actually a 2D version generated directly from the model. It's 100% automated, so as soon as you upload this file here, it's going to automatically split out all these sheets for us. And again, all those sheets are going to be hyperlinked. We're going to have the same functions within the model itself here. And if we go down within this model, you'll see there's one called, that's got this denoted by brackets here with 3D. If we click on this, it's actually going to pull up the model itself. So this is where I was talking about being able to access the model. We could do this via the iPad app, the phone app, any one of the different apps that are available for our mobile devices. We can access this and we can start to look at it. So one of the things that's really interesting to me, though, is that during in the web version right now, we can actually go over here to history, and it's a little different, but we can say compare versions. Now, if we compare these versions, version 1 to version 2, we can really start to see what's changed very easily, and without having to have a lot of knowledge of the system. So let's wait for it to pull up here. So we don't have to have a lot of technical knowledge because it's already done a lot of the work for us. So you can see here that within this, we get this panel that shows us all the changes. Let's turn off. It's saying that 1,081 items have been removed. So we'll turn that off. We've got 236 items that were modified. And here's what it's doing. It's going ahead and highlighting just the 17 added. So now I can kind of look at this and say, okay, this is interesting. I see what's been added to this project. Or this version of the model. So it allows me to get a bunch of clarity around this. We can also filter by discipline. So if these were all architectural changes, you can see that a few of them disappear there. And if they're structural, et cetera. So there's different ways to slice and dice this very easily. And we could look at the modification type. Was it a hide property change, or was it a hide transformation, or was it a shape change? I'm sorry. Was it a transformation, a property change, or a shape change? But let's look at the removed. So we can see here, we'll turn off the added, and you can see what exactly was removed, which essentially was a second floor. We could go in here to modified, which this one I find the most unique. And we can click on this on any one of these items here, and it'll highlight that item for us. But the cool thing is we're allowed to go back from version 1 to version 2 and see what's going on. So you can see here, if we look at this stairwell, there was a change to the stairwell. So version 1 showed that the stairwell extended all the way to the second floor. But if you remember, version 2 removed the second floor. So now that stairwell is only a partial stairwell. So this is really easy to analyze and just visualize what's going on within your model itself. So it's in my opinion, this is a really great thing. And we can also even look at these side by side. So we can pull up the different versions and see what's changed just from version 1 to version 2. And again, just really beneficial, easy way to look at these and explore the model to see what's different. So I think that this is one of the kind of the defining factors of it, and I think it really helps us leverage that model more effectively in the field and just be more aware of what's going on, and again, just leveraging the model, which is going to be crucial as our upcoming, as our job sites get more dependent on it. We can also add markups here. I don't think that that's new to the software. We can add issues as well, both field and docs issues, and even RFIs. So it's very similar to the 2D workflow we talked about, except for this time you're looking at an image, and that image is saved there. So just keep that in mind as you're kind of exploring the model and some of the things that it can do. The next thing that I really want to just talk about with docs, and this is not anything new, but I think it's a really important one to talk about, is just permissions. So having the ability to granularly permission each folder within the system from, you can see here, view only, view and upload, view, upload, edit, edit and control. So this one I find the most unique is the edit and control. If we go over here again and we find this eye icon, it says that the edit and control allows full administration full administration controls, including managing folder access and title blocks. So what this means is that we can permission essentially a folder administrator and allow them to add people on. So if you wanted an individual company to have their own folder and folder structure, you could actually permission an admin for that company and give them access to it, and they could add on individuals within their organization. So that makes it really beneficial for us as administrators, because now we can offload some of that burden and stop being the bottleneck for a lot of our subcontractors. So just keep that in mind. I find that to be a really unique feature of Docs right now. And again, a lot of the functionality is the same. Some of these model compare functions have changed sort of the way that they collect the information on there. They have moved the RFIs into the project management module. So if you're used to seeing that there and you don't see them on this project, that's where it is. And ultimately, one of the big ones that came out on January 31st too was the ability to copy new project settings or copy project settings. So it essentially allows us to copy over folder structure from one project to another. That's going to be a huge benefit as we start to gear up and get larger organizations involved with Docs, and it's just going to become easier to standardize on it and leverage that information. So we're going to move pretty quickly through the other ones. Again, this is kind of the core, the backbone of Docs, but let's go ahead and talk about a few others here. So the next one I think that's going to be important is going to be the project management. So they've bundled this, and I think they're calling it now, this is going to be part of BIM 360 Build. And so when you buy BIM 360 Build, you'll include the project management, the field management, and the document management modules. If you notice here, you can see here's the list of the RFIs that I created. It'll show me what document they're on, if there's any comments associated with it, and we could create an RFI from here. So again, this is just a list that we can begin to manage. We have the ability to export this out in both PDF and CSV, and then our submittals. So this is gonna start developing more. And actually, there was as part of the Insiders program, we had the ability to kind of communicate with the developers, and they had a big discussion today on project management, where they were taking a lot of the input from the people who are part of that program, and they're really listening to this. And this is going to be a big focal point probably in the next couple of months for the development team as they refine this process. But the process exists today. The way it exists is we ultimately create items, and then we take those items and put them into packages and submit them through an approval process. So there's a workflow associated with this. I'll demonstrate kind of how that's set up a little bit later, but we can create a new item, and it just prompts us and takes us right through the function of this. So we can add a new spec section. We can choose a spec section we've already added, create a title for this. So we'll just call this O&M. And we'll choose the type so we can sort by this. So they've got all the types here. We select a member who's responsible for it and choose a date. And then ultimately we can create this item. And this item will then go into the list. I'm not going to create it here, but it'll go into the list here. And then you can see as it gets approved, these responses will go. The next piece of this is ultimately just creating a package for these. You can see this one's still open, so I can look at this package here. I can submit this to the reviewer, but first I need to go into each one of these and actually approve it, review the attachment here. We can see some of the details associated with this, any attachments that were available here. And then what I like the most about all of these is that this activity thread's available, and we can actually create comments and add information here and prevent the email back and forth, but everybody has insight and visibility into the discussion had. So we're not losing a lot of information, and we're hopefully keeping those email inboxes a little thinner. So this is the primary core functions of project management. That's going to be RFIs and submittals. And again, I think we're going to see a lot of refinement to this workflow, and not only refinement, but flexibility as we move forward. As they move forward with the development on this. So be looking for those changes. Hopefully we'll host another one of these webinars, and we can keep you in tune with that. The one that I'm probably the most excited about, and maybe it's because of my role, I've done countless implementations with BIM 360 Field Classic, and always thought it was a great product. And the development team has really taken that to the next level. They've created these awesome discussions with tons of contractors, putting in input on how things should be in this new version. And I think we're going to really start to see the impact of that and some of the things we could do. One of the things that I like is the template generator, so we can create a new checklist. So we'll just call this new checklist webinar, and we can put a description with it. We select the type, whether it's quality, safety, or commissioning. We'll just say it's quality. And one of these is really neat is allow adding section assignees. This is a new function that came out probably a week or two ago, but it's really neat. So we can add a new section. So let's just say fire extinguishers. Now we've added the section. Now we want to add an item within this. We can choose what item we want. So we could just say it's pass or fail, add a new item, and then we could just type, is the fire extinguisher located correctly? And then we've simply done it. We could just add another item. Is the fire extinguisher charged? Right? We can easily create these ad hoc, create a new section, whatever we want this to be, new section. What I want to demonstrate to you is the ability to add section assignees to these, because this is one feature that I think is going to be very beneficial. You can just see how easy inline editing this is to create these checklists. There's no import or using Excel to create some archaic list to import in. We could just do it all inline, which really helps us. And so we're going to go ahead and publish this. So we've got this, I think it's this one, new checklist webinar. Now that we've got it, we could create this checklist, and you'll notice that we can assign individual sections to individual people. Again, we can assign it to the user, the role, or the contractor itself. So you can see here, I've got the company, the role, or the user. So I can make sure that an individual looks at this or a company looks at this and completes it. So we could give different access to different people and force the completion of these sections. We can also assign the entire thing to an individual. We can add a location. You can see that location structures are built out in Field, and we can modify those and create it for a job specific. And we could schedule this whatever time we want to. The type's quality, no description specified. Remember, that was on the header section. And once we've done that, we can actually get that. We can have that started, and they'll get notification, and they can complete their section of the checklist appropriately. So again, super easy to work with. It looks really good on the app, and it's going to be really smooth. They are working on some of the functions that we saw in Classic Field, which was around issue management. So generating issues on non-conforming answers and things like that. So these workflow enhancements are currently taking place, and I'm sure we'll probably see in the near future. Under issues, again, it's going to be very similar to what you're used to seeing in Field. So it's we could choose between quality, commissioning. They'll be adding in more flexibility with this. So in Classic Field, we had the ability to define kind of subtypes within these categories, which we could assign to, which helped us sort and filter and organize the information. And you'll see a lot of that coming. Also, from the web right now, just as a limitation, as they prioritize what they're going to focus on, one of the limitations that we see right now is there's no ability to kind of upload the a document to this this first splash screen here. But we have the ability to add photos and everything, full functionality within the app itself. And you'll see here if we open up one of these. So apparently my session's expired, and some of this has to do with as we work in preview mode, you may see a little bit more of this, but here it is at open. And again, we're able to see that activity in which we can comment and do other things. It's kind of a common theme within all of it. And just know that within docs, we're able to track a lot of this stuff and keep a history of it. And then finally, our daily logs, so we can get the weather, populate the weather, place the workers in here, the details for the day, and we could publish this log for this date. So kind of your standard functionality, but this is where we're at today. And I think there's a lot of positive things happening and enhancements coming down the road soon. So this is really starting to develop kind of into its own, and I think will be, a really great addition to the BIM 360 platform. And just to clarify, it is available today. It's available in a preview mode, so just keep that in mind. But it's really coming into its own. So we've gone through field management, project management, docs, model coordination. So this is a little bit of outside of my realm of comfort. But again, I think that docs, or the BIM 360 platform, is making this easier and more accessible for people. So you can see here, Michael's uploaded these models. You can see my models, clashes with my models, but we could go in here to clashes. And what it does is, as we upload these models, it actually automatically clashes these models against each other. And it gives us a report. So we can see that the storm clashing with hot and cold water is 2, right? So both ways, when we look at this matrix, it's 2. If we click on that, we could see kind of where those clashes are. One of the things that Michael was mentioning to me, who's a colleague of mine who's very familiar with Glue, he said one of the things that he's really excited about is not only kind of the way that this functions, because it seems to be a more intuitive workflow, but also the ability to, he's really waiting and anticipating the ability to mark up these clashes and send out notifications for people to resolve them. So I'm hoping that that'll be a part of some of the future releases. But right now, we're able to do all the clashes and look within each one of these to see what's clashing with each other. So again, we can filter these out to look at them different ways, but it's pretty simplistic. We've got the ability to upload our models and then view our clashes. So while it's simple, it's also really powerful because it can automate a lot of these processes and make this more accessible to more people. And then finally, some of the last things we've got are Insight. Look at the analytics. So I would compare, for those people on the call who are familiar with Field Classic, I would kind of compare this to your dashboards. It's going to allow you to kind of look at a more detailed view, kind of more visually at what the challenges are on your job, hopefully be able to identify that. They've discussed, having a machine learning in this to kind of prompt you to the right things, but we'll ultimately have the ability to set these up and customize them specific to the user. I think, and I'm not certain about this, but we may see an individual reporting module or insights may become our reporting function. I'm not sure, but we are going to see more robust reporting capabilities in the future. And then finally, this is one that I think is going to be really beneficial, but essentially it's our project homepage. So you can see here, probably not the best example because I don't have enough data here, but you can see that we'll be able to see all of our field issues. So I can click on any one of these that I'm responsible for, and it'll take me right there. Same with checklists, RFIs. So the idea behind the homepage is that it's very actionable. I know what I'm responsible for that day, and I can just quickly navigate there and add my response. Everything's organized for me, and it's just going to make it, I think, a lot more easier to manage complex projects. And whether it's a complex project or a simple project, it just gives you a consistent place to have all your information organized. So I think that this is going to be a really big part of this. And then finally, just from a project administration perspective, when we talk about adding in flexibility and enhancements to that, we can see that we can manage our members here, our companies, the services. You can see that we can turn off services for certain people so they wouldn't have access to it. but we can also go in here and look at the services available. You can see I have document management, project management. I could add in BIM 360 plan just simply by activating it. But if we go into each one of these under project management, we can start to define the actual the workflows themselves. So how it gets approved. So in this case, for the RFI workflow, we're in RFIs. It's kind of giving us the process for that. So the creator creates it. It automatically goes to the manager, and then it goes to the reviewer, and then back down the chain to the creator. So again, we can define who the creator is. So maybe it's all users. We don't care. Or maybe we want to designate specific users within subcontractors to be the kind of the bearer of the RFIs. And then we could say the manager is who the manager is. And again, we can define who the reviewer is as well. There are some other workflow options, and hopefully, this will probably gain some flexibility at some point, but we could go in here and then we'll have a manager and 2 reviewers. So it's really our choice, but those are the workflows that were given at the time. And then under submittals, it's kind of the same thing. The submittal manager has the sole permission to submit packages for review and close them. So again, we're consolidating that responsibility to one person to do that. And then under field management, we can control who has access, what level of permissions. So not everybody can create a new checklist. Not everybody can access issues or checklist. And so this is going to allow us to kind of set those permissions at that level. And then we talked about within document management, we can set permissions at the folder level. So we have just a lot of flexibility already in here, and I think we're going to see more. The last thing I really want to talk about is the ability to, where do we go to keep up with the updates? How do we communicate with the development team? Where are our resources to do that? And if you go here in the top right-hand side, we've got something called community, submit your ideas, and contact support. So one of the things that I think is, let me actually go back out to document management. I think we're going to get some more options when we do that. So if we go to document management, you'll see you've got document management help, the learn panel, the community, and submit your ideas. So the learn panel is one that you can look at. This follow our release notes. This is a really good location. I would recommend if you're interested in tracking what's going on with docs, or you currently have a docs project here, go here and subscribe to this. So sign up and subscribe to this blog, because every time that they submit a change, so this project home, you can see came out 1 day ago, you'll get an email that says, hey, we just released some new functionality. Here's a synopsis of what it is. And then you'll know, hey, this is what I need to go in and look at, or man, that's the answer to my problem. I need to, just so you're aware of it, right? So I'd go in and definitely subscribe to this one. It's really good. And then if you go to the community, let's go to one of the ones that I like, I think is let me open this up here, the community here. If you go to the community, you could get here, they just revamped this whole forum site, looks a lot nicer. But we can post to the forums. So this is where people have questions about model coordination, project management. A lot of times you can search through this forum to find the answers for other questions as well. And then submit an idea. If you submit this idea, it'll show you, like, go to forums, all ideas. It kind of prompts you to go through this process. But if we go to all ideas, it may be good for you to take some time during lunch or something to look at the ideas for BIM 360 and go and vote on them. So there's a lot of people in here they have really good ideas, and you can see here you can vote to the left. I think if we can get this more active with people using this, we can get, so here's 28 votes. So copy project settings, including attributes. So right now we can copy project settings, but it looks like somebody's would like the ability to take the attributes with them. So again, this is where we can really kind of make an impact as users and start to define what features have the most important things. So we could say export drawing register for BIM 360 field. So again, 60 votes. Like a lot of this is really good stuff. So that's generally all I have on the big BIM 360 platform update. I know that was a lot. You know, as we come out of preview mode on a lot of these platforms. So right now, document management's pretty solid. It's tried and true, and they've tested it a bunch of times. There's a lot of good workflows that you can use there. But as field management and these other modules come out of preview, we'll most likely host a more in-depth review and look at those. Just be aware that they're there, and you know, access them, use them, really try to evaluate them, and you know, encourage you to give feedback. But as they become out of preview, we'll probably do a lot more in-depth look at it via a webinar as that occurs. But I appreciate everybody being with us today. Amy, were there any questions that I could answer?
There are.
Okay.
The first question that we've received is it better to do issues in field or docs?
So it kind of depends, right? If you're using field, there's, in my opinion, there's some benefits there because I can define an issue type for that. I can also upload my location hierarchy, and I can go ahead and predefine that location hierarchy and use and leverage that. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know 100% that this is correct, but I think I have a feeling that we'll probably see issues in docs and issues in field blend together to some degree in the future. But you know, for a project team, I think it's just important to decide when to use each type. And if I was using field, I would try to focus probably on keeping them within the field issues, because I think that there's some of the benefits I mentioned earlier exceed that of the docs issues.
All right, and he followed that with, we've been doing RFI in field. Should we be using docs now? This looks a lot cleaner.
Been doing RFI in, I'm assuming, classic field maybe. There's not really RFI functionality in classic field. I'm aware of that, but I know some people have been using issue types to manage those RFIs. And if that's the case, then I think you really need to evaluate that because there's still a lot of functions in field classic that aren't available in this BIM 360 field management. So it's not a one-to-one, and I'd have to kind of look at it on a case by case to really say whether you know, I think you should use it. If you want to, you know, maybe send Amy an email, and maybe we could follow up with that and take a closer look at it with you if you'd like.
All right. And that sounds great. You can either email us at events@asci.com, or you can actually click on the contact us button in your console and email us straight from there. The next question is, does this 3D viewer work with DWG?
Yes, I think the answer is yes. I haven't done a lot of testing with that, but I'm pretty certain it will. One thing to note on that is, we touched on this a little bit, but you've got something called the plan section here, and you've got the project files down here. So the plan section is really designated for your PDF plans and your Revit files. So those are kind of the two file types that it accepts. And again, that plan section is going to do a couple of distinct actions on those files when you upload them. And that's going to be a multi-page PDF. It'll split out into individual sheets and hyperlink it for you. And then a Revit file is going to extract all of the plotted sheets out of that Revit file and publish them as PDFs, hyperlink PDFs to your docs platform. If you're talking about uploading and viewing a DWG, you would most likely want to add that down here under your project files section, and that'll allow you to view. It'll also it should allow you to compare. I don't think I've tested the compare feature on a DWG per se, So it'd be worth probably trying out, but you know, you should be able to view it there. We have looked at it with Navisworks files, and it seems to work with Navisworks files. So I would think the answer would be yes, but just with the caveat, keep it in your project files.
All right. And can the Revit model be edited from this location?
So no. However, with the release of Revit 2019, there are some integrations to the BIM 360 platform. So it's worth looking at some of the updates that have come out, I think either today or yesterday with regard to that, because I think that those will allow you to do what you're trying to accomplish within the BIM 360 platform. And again, that is going to be, that document would be hosted in Docs, and you would be able to modify that document there. So look at some of the announcements around that. We may be able to provide you a little bit of information. That design is not really my expertise, so I don't want to say 100%, but I think that the 2019 release will help you out.
And the last question I see is, how do you enable the preview modules?
Okay, so the preview modules, you're going to first have to go to your account administration. And when you create a new job, it'll actually prompt you through that. So you can create a new job, or let me see if I can go down to one of these here, one of my training projects. I'm trying to think of one that I could do it on, but anyways, you go to one of these here. I don't think I've got, some of these are mixed in with Classic, so I'm trying to find a new one that that I could show you. So let me try this one. We could go here and we could go to Services under the account module, and you can see that I have document management available. I could also activate project management, glue, field. And then when you activate glue and field, it'll ask you, it'll prompt you like, do you want to activate classic field or next gen field? And you'll pick the next gen field. But also remember that you have to have an entitlement. So if you are currently paying for classic field, then you should have the ability to choose from either classic field or the next gen field. If you're not paying for field or glue, then you're not going to probably even see these services available to you until you have a license of that or are doing a trial of that. So just keep that in mind.